All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's up, Wichita? Coming to the mic today, we have a young woman who has represented Wichita at our State House for many years. Her name is Gail Finney, and we ask her to come now to the mic.
Good morning. What's up, Wichita? My name is Gail Finney, and I'm state representative for the 84th District, which has been an honor for me for the last 8 years, and I'm getting ready to serve my 5th term. And my district 84th District goes from 21st Street North all the way down to Kellogg and over from Oliver to Mosley, and I have approximately 24,000 constituents. In 2017, that's going to be an interesting year for Kansas. For one, Kansas has been under a little financial strain within the last few years. So next year, we're going to have to deal with a big public education issue on funding. We're currently, right now, our education system, we've had to go to the Supreme Court on several issues, and recently we were able to resolve with the Supreme Court on an equity matter. But coming up in the next session, we're going to have to deal with the adequacy section of our school finance. In addition, over the last few years, Kansas also implemented a big tax cut on behalf of its constituents. However, that has caused a little problem in our community and our state because it left a big deficit. Right now, Kansas is nearly $350 million in the hole for the 2016 legislative funding budget. And for the next year, 2017, it's going to be nearly $600 million. So we have a big deficit that we have to recover from. And some of the other issues that we've had up in the state, foster care issues, where we've had recently an audit where the state went in and audited our Department of Children and Family, where some people have been kind of disappointed that they think that a lot of our children are being removed unnecessarily, and some of the foster care parents feel like that it needs to be tightened on the rules and regulations. And some of the legislators thought that we really need to look in to see exactly what's going on to make sure that the quality and care of our children in the foster care system is being basically secured and that our children are protected. Unfortunately now, from the last that I looked, we have nearly 6,700 children in our foster care system. And I'm glad to say I am one of those foster care parents. The reason I got involved in being a foster care parent is because I get so many complaints, that I have received so many complaints from different foster care kids, foster care parents, and I wanted to go in and see how can I make a difference, or what do we need to do to tighten that up. So right now I'm currently working with foster kids. I have a couple of them, and I do foster care for different juveniles in the system. In addition to the education and our funding, we also recently implemented a complete juvenile justice reform with our children, and that was Senate Bill 367. Of which I was able to work on for the last, I'll say 9 months now, and now I'll be on the Juvenile Justice Oversight Committee. And what that bill did significantly is it helped to reduce some of the time that our children would have to spend in prisons. And what it does is it sends it back to the communities, and it offers more resources to help our children get much more settled, without going in and out the system. So we think that that's going to make a big difference. And we're hoping that all the money that we are expecting to save, which is going to be approximately $80 to $88 million, we're hoping that money, I shouldn't say we're hoping, we have made it a promise that we're going to reinvest all of that money into resources for our children in the juvenile justice system. In Kansas is one of, I'll say less than 20 states that hasn't implemented Medicaid Expansion, which we call CanCare here in Kansas. And unfortunately, without that, nearly 150,000 people are kind of going underneath the table without adequate access to health care. Under the Affordable Care Act, which is implemented by the Obama administration, it would allow citizens to be able to have access and be able to go to the doctor with a fairly reasonable rate to get health care, to see doctors and go to the hospital. Unfortunately, since Kansas hasn't implemented that, we've had a lot of people unable to seek the health care that they need. And we're finding that our hospitals in Kansas, for one, we've had one hospital close in Independence, Kansas, and we've also have another hospital on the verge, and we've had some hospitals in our mental health hospitals that are struggling. And we've had hospitals here in Wichita, like Via Christi, that it has affected overwhelmingly. They said just recently in a report that I read this week that they've lost over 650 full-time employment jobs for people because we haven't expanded Medicaid. We estimate that would be approximately $1.5 billion that Kansas would have had if we would have implemented Obamacare within the last 3 years. But again, like I said before, I think that's going to be one of the biggest issues that's coming up in the next legislative session in 2017. And I have been personally told by the human resource chairperson on the House side that we are going to be at least having that discussion. Unfortunately, over the last few years, we haven't been granted the benefit to have what I call a real discussion or debate on Medicaid expansion. So I think the citizens have spoke up, and they're kind of tired of not being able to even have the discussion. So I'd be really surprised if we don't at least have the discussion. And I'm not saying that it's actually going to happen, because on the federal level, as you know, we do have a new president-elect, Trump, which has sworn to backdrop on Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare Act, as some people know. And we've recently had our lieutenant governor personally tweet out saying that he doesn't think that Medicaid expansion is going to actually have an opportunity next session. But I want to debate with him that I think that we need to have it, because just because we haven't done it so far, that doesn't mean that we don't need to do it. And so I'm going to hopefully be a part of that discussion. And let me see what else that might be of benefit to some of the people that may need to know. I personally might be working on a bill called Joey Weber's Act. Recently, in September of this year, there was a young man by the name of Joey Weber that was killed by police officers, and he is an autistic young man. And when he was, when he was being followed or chased by the police, he did not respond accordingly. As long story short, he ended up losing his life under, being followed by law enforcement. So this bill, Joey Weber's Act, next session, what it would do, it would send out an alert to police officers that on their tag, there will be an alert on their tag or on their driver's license or on their state ID that would alert police officers with a code that would go to what they call the KCGIS system, which alerts the FBI, the police department, and the highway patrol that this person has autism. So that's going to be one of the big things that I'm working on next session. And let me see, another thing as far as like our children, next session, I'm hoping that with the juvenile justice system that we can reduce recidivism for our children. And as far as like our school funding, I'm hoping that the state of Kansas will get serious on funding our education system. In addition, I would like to see that, I'm hoping that with the Kansas Economic Growth Organization, they recently did a Rise Up Kansas, where they're encouraging the state legislature on the House side, the Senate side, and everyone to take note that there are some issues that we really need to correct. Like I mentioned to you earlier, there's 330,000 businesses in Kansas that really needs to start paying their fair share of taxes. So I'm hoping that our legislature will listen to that and kind of go back and repeal that act. In addition to that, Kansas has one of the highest sales tax, we're the second highest in the nation. Right now, our sales tax is 6.45%. And with that organization I just mentioned to you, the goal is to reduce our sales tax to 5%, because right now we have a lot of families that are suffering, and we think if we can reduce that sales tax, that would at least help some families feed their families. Another thing with that Rise Up Kansas is that one of the problems that we had the last time when our governor did that big tax cut, we were able to reduce the income taxes on a lot of people. And the 1% hires salary makers and what do you call it, salary makers and business owners, they were the one that was benefiting the most from that tax cut. So with that being said, another proposal of next year will be to reduce that to put that 6.45% tax cut that was eliminated for a lot of households, to put that back into the system. And the final suggestion that I thought, a lot of people don't want to do, but I think we're going to have to do it because with us having such a significant tax shortage or revenue shortage in Kansas, is maybe we might have to do a 3-year plan where we have to take some of the money out of the Kansas transportation. One of the things we've been trained so far, we've actually taken almost $2 billion out of the Kansas Department of Transportation's budget to make our budget balanced, basically. And so we're probably going to do that for another 3 more years just to kind of get, as I say, to zero. And I think with some of those changes, like I said, Medicaid expansion, the juvenile justice system, the Joy Waivers Act, and some other bills that's coming forward with Kansas, I think it's going to be really an exciting, I know some people say that must be a proof for pain or something like that, but I really think it's going to be good for Kansas for us to actually start having some of these conversations and put us on a foot of actually trying to get more financially solvent and actually being much more responsive to our community, our citizens, our foster care children, and our families. So I thank you for this opportunity, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. All right, thank you. What's up, Wichita? All righty.
Thank you, Gail. I'm Sheila KInnard, and we're signing off now to JT Cascade Media Group at Outlook.com. Thank you.